What's up, Indiana? Welcome to Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. A big weekend ahead for your Indy Ignites. The Colts get their guy with the 14th pick of round one in the 2025 NFL Draft. And the Pacers up 2-0 going into Game 3 in Milwaukee tonight. Lots to discuss. Thanks for joining. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation starts right now. Good afternoon and welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day, whether you're checking me out live or on the replay. Cannot thank you enough. Welcome to another installment of Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Coming to you live as I do just about each and every Friday from the great city of Indianapolis, and in this case, a very rainy day. But that's all right. I hope it's been a good week here. I hope your week has been as good as mine. You know what? Scratch it. I hope yours has been better. To be real, it's been a good sports week, but health-wise, it's been rough. But your boy's back up now. He's feeling much better. And you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about some sports. So we'll get into that really quick here. But just as I mentioned in the intro, it's a big weekend for the Indy Ignite. Colts get their guy last night, and it will be interesting to see what they do tonight. So we'll touch on that. Obviously, Game 3, Pacers-Bucks. Big game tonight. We'll have a special guest on to discuss that. Touch on the IU portal, a little bit of Fisher's Freight, some testing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as well. So a lot to get into as always, but before we do, we got to get word in from our great sponsors, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal, Wax Seal. So let's get to that. Get the bills paid. We'll jump into it with some IU discussion on the other side. Once again, thank you so much for joining me here, Indy Sports Nation, right here at IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, Take part in your iron therapy and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back. Thank you again for tuning in. Much appreciated. Before we get into it, we got to go through the routine, of course, right? On the old X platform, if you'd be so kind to follow the show page at IndySports_IESR. You can also follow the old personal account at The Chill Mike. If you're a TikToker, I'm on there now. I'm not sure why, but I am. Okay. At chill.mike7. If you want to follow me for some goofiness or whatever, much appreciate that. And if you'd be so kind on the give us a follow on YouTube, IE Sports, comment Indy Sports Nation. That helps out this show immensely, helps out the whole network immensely. So if you'd be so kind, if you haven't done that already, smash that subscribe, comment Indy Sports Nation. Big thanks for that. Obviously, if you're watching YouTube, feel free to comment. Love interacting with you. You all know this. Keep it sports, keep it PG. Can't believe I still have to say that, but you'd be surprised on some of the comments I get on this thing. It's kind of nuts. But anyway, I got a few coming in here already. Boss Man's already chiming in. All right, love that. Let's get it, Big Mike. Love that. You couldn't get a better pick. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get a few of the small things out of the way first, and then we'll spend a fair amount of time talking to Tyler Warren. He had his introductory press conference today. So I got one interesting tip that I got from that. Fans wanted Warren, and Colts drafted him. Yep. You'd be surprised though. There were some people here who didn't like it. You can't please everybody, man. It's pretty wild. But with that said, we'll get to a few other topics before we jump in to the Colts. And this is a new one. I think some of my people will be a little bit surprised by this one. Is Big Mike starting the show with IU hoops? Has that ever happened? I'm 30 shows in. I don't think it has. So, but it has now, and it's good. It's good. So I wanted to give a quick update on the portal. As you know, as most of us know, the portal is now closed. Now, again, you can't go in it at this point. If you're still in there and haven't declared where you're going or yada yada, you can still do that. But no more going in. So with that being said, the last time we discussed this, I liked what DeVries is doing. I still like what Darren DeVries is doing. I really do. But he finally got some front court help, and that was where he's lacking. And he's still lacking there. Do not get me wrong. He's still lacking. Sam Alexis from Florida. And most people would be like, who's that? Wait, Florida won the national championship. That's good, right? He got hurt at the end of the year. He wasn't really a big part of the tournament run. However, before he transferred to Florida, he was at Chattanooga, where he was a 10.9 rebound guy. Maybe about 6'7" or ish, 6'7", 6'8". Some help on the front court, which the Hoosiers need, because if you've seen who they brought in to this point, a fair amount of shooters, some perimeter guys, which is great because they need it, because they, as I've mentioned, they can't hit water from a boat the past couple of years. They also brought in a guard from Elon, Nick Dorn. That is no relation to Roger Dorn. Only my Gen X buddies and older will get that joke. Or if you're a Cleveland fan, you may get that joke. But regardless, so I feel they're pretty good on the guard front. They're going to, like I said, front court helps where they're probably need the most help, in my opinion. But I tell you, again, I like what Darren DeVries is doing here. And you got to be patient with them, right? As I've said before, everybody's gone. I mean, Luke Goody still may return with that hardship exemption. We'll see how that shakes out. I still think he gets it. But the NCAA is unpredictable. We don't really know. You just don't really know. He'd be another shooter. I don't know. I mean, you look at all these guys who've come in, through the portal. They got some really good numbers. Obviously, those numbers are going to go down because not everybody's going to be able to keep those high 40% numbers, because not everybody's going to be shooting that much, right? So, look, like I said, I do think this has the potential to be a better team next year. And what I mean by that is simply, are they as talented? No, I don't think so. This past year's IU's team had a ton of talent. They're just discombobulated, and I don't think they were very well coached. I think this team's going to be better coached, and this could be a team like similar to West Virginia last year, which means, hey, they're probably not a top 25 team, but, maybe they sneak into the tournament. We'll see. I think the big thing is you've got all these guys who are coming in, but they're predominantly from mid-majors, and can they adjust to the Big Ten style of play will be the big question. And I'm sure they're going to have some nights where they'll probably shoot the lights out, and they may look good, and then other nights they may just get beat up. But you got to have patience. I don't think this is going to be a Kirk Cignetti type turnaround. I mean, that was just crazy. They benefited from a great schedule, but we also come to find out too, the football was a good team. Are they great? No, they were good. I would say they were very good. I mean, they just want at that upper echelon. That's okay. That team's been the losingest program forever. Seriously, look that up. They're like legit on the losingest program. But I digress. Those days are behind us, at least for now, for IU football. They're going to put another good product on the field this year. I have no doubt about it. But a couple nice pickups in the portal. Like I said, we'll see where that shakes out for IU. I just like what he's doing. I do think, again, we'll see how this comes together on the court. But I think it's good things ahead for IU. I got a few more comments coming in already, so now I'm kind of concerned. I'm either getting praised or bashed for my for my IU comments here. We're going to change the color scheme up here a little bit, though, because we'll talk some other local squads here in just a second. What IU hoops? He's exactly right. exactly right. First for everything, right? Taryn checking in, just wrapped up his show. Appreciate you checking in. SoCal Sports, and he does his set point. Our volleyball guru, man, does a great job. So check him out. Let's hit on real quick on the Fisher's Freight. I just really started bringing this team in here a few weeks ago because it's inaugural season here at the Indoor Football League. And those of you, again, who aren't familiar with the Indoor Football League, it's very similar to Arena, back in the old Arena days, if you've watched that. In other words, these wide receivers, whatnot, can get a running start before the ball snapped as long as they don't cross the line of scrimmage before the ball snapped. So they line up, a few yards back, get a running start. It's an offensive deal, right? I mean, this is an entertainment type of deal. But, I mean, there's some great athletes here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount that at all. But, man, this game last weekend, it was it took the loss to the Bay Area Panthers 57-41. It was just one of those games that Bay Area, got the ball first, and Fishers did not have an answer for them. The offense was just too good. Even in the few times they did get stops, it was just they were too far and too few and far in between for Fisher to really make a legit effort at this to catch up and sneak out a win there. Just wasn't in the cards for them. I feel like, to me, it was more of a credit to the Panthers than it was a shot at the Freight. Just kind of one of those nights. So again, good offense by the Bay Area Panthers. What's good for the Freight? You're going to Iowa tomorrow night, who are winless. So, which doesn't mean anything. I get that, but going into a winless team, and so hopefully you can get back over 500, get back to 3-2, because then you got the Quad City Steamwheelers. I still love some of these names, man. I just do. Quad City is actually unbeaten and top in the division, so that's going to be a big one here in a week from tomorrow. So, a quick note on that. Hopefully, they can get back on the winning ways here. They started the season 2-0 and have unfortunately dropped the last two. So, hopeful for things to get turned around against a winless Iowa team tomorrow night, 7:00 in Iowa. While we're talking, again, Fishers and the Fishers Event Center, this is going to be a big weekend for the Indy Ignite. They have gotten back on the struggle bus, unfortunately, and have dropped about 4 straight. And this isn't, to me, this is not a member meta thing here. They've won plenty of matches without her. They just feel very, very discombobulated to me. And particularly on that left side. Just something I've noticed. I know probably Taryn goes more into it on set point. But they have an opportunity this weekend. They still control their own destiny here. But 2 big matches at home, one against Orlando tonight, and that's not going to be an easy one. So, I mean, they need to get these ones at home. We got Orlando tonight, San Diego on Sunday at 3. These are big games for them. You've got a little bit of a cushion, but you can't afford to lose that cushion. Right now, 5th place is Grand Rapids with a couple games behind them. So the last thing you want to do is drop 2 at home when you've done pretty good job up until this last loss of taking care of your home matches. So I really want to see, Hilly continue to do her thing, Teal to do her thing, Katie Bear to keep doing her thing, keep stepping up. They just need a little bit of spark. And I'm hoping it's a great place for a match. Fishers Event Center is great. I hope everybody here locally is packing it tonight. I know it's a lot going on tonight. This whole weekend, for example, right? You got Pacers tipping at 8. We got the draft at 7. This is a ton going on. But I hope they're able to pack that place tonight, because the ladies are going to need the help, I think. I don't mean the help, you know what I mean? Just that extra boost of energy. Because they need to just kind of tighten up just a little bit. I hate using that. I can't believe I even used that phrase. We can't say tighten up in this town. What the heck? What am I doing? But 7:00 tonight, Indy Ignite. They had some time off, so hopefully some rest has done them some good. And they've split with Orlando this year. It's been some back and forth with those 2 teams, so it's going to be a tough one tonight. But hope our ladies can pull out the win. Let's hit the comments one more time. Yep, Terrence's correct. 2 weeks left in the Pro Volleyball Federation. So it's crunch time here, man. I feel like if the Ignite can get this weekend under the belt, they're going to be in good shape. So, With that said, want to get to our first break here. We got to talk some Indy 500 testing that took place in town this past week. And then as I scroll through the comments, our boy Larry B is talking about Tyler Warren. So I got quite a bit to discuss there. And, about tonight, too, the draft. So we'll get this first set of breaks out of the way and talk some Indy 500 testing on the other side. Again, Big Mike here, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernan.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
All right, welcome back. Thank you once again for tuning in. Had to give some love to our boy Mike at Let's Wine About Sports and in the Neutral Zone, because obviously Stanley Cup playoffs, right? We don't get talk a ton of hockey here because, quite frankly, nobody here cares about it. But we have some fans here that obviously do, so we don't have a team here is obviously what I meant by that. But anyway, Stanley Cup playoffs are a great time of year too, man. It's just, man, they just step it up. From everything from the players to the announcers to the fans. I just absolutely love it. All right, so let's talk a little. IndyCar's got multiple colors. We'll go a little red today. How about that? So, some Indy 500 testing. It's a track this week. And first and foremost, way to go, Indianapolis. You showed out. A couple days in the middle of the week. Good fan attendance. Love it. Day one was a little weird. Had some technical issues with a variety of things, so it took a while for those cars to get on track. Thus the speeds were a little bit lower, but that's all right. You get 2 days. So the note here, you'll see the 2-day speeds were much faster. So day 1 speeds was led by Scott Dixon, who's just the man. But the speeds were around about 225. And you'll see, if you're watching here, you'll see on the ticker, Scotty Mack, top guy, 232.686. Takuma Sato actually hit the wall, testing at a 232.565, and Will Power, 232.278. Man, it's fast. I love it. I love it. I love it. And by the way, did I not talk about this last week that Penske's really looking forward to these ovals? There you go. Two of the 3 fastest are Penske guys. Let's just hope their seatbelts work. Anyway, unbelievable. You think Penske can figure out their seatbelts? A couple other things to mention. Yeah, I mentioned Takuma Sato, 2-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. Going for 3, which is crazy. It's a name you don't really think about that often, but did hit the wall. Not a lot of damage there. Turned out to be all right. No big deal. Kyle Larson, as for those of you who don't know, he's going to do the double again, or at least attempt to. Last year it didn't work out for him because of weather. But and people are kind of on both sides about this. And here's what I take from it. I feel like it brings extra eyes to the product at the end of the day. Love Kyle Larson or not, or hate him. I mean, trust me, if you don't think he's one of the best drivers out there, I mean, he'll tell you he is. There's no denying that. And he is a talented dude, but I think at the end of the day, when you see him do something like this, and some will say it's ego and yada, yada, yada. I mean, there's been multiple guys who've done this before. This is not new. I just like the fact that I think, to me, it brings more eyes to the product. And that's what I want as an IndyCar fan. For a series that's essentially based here, that's what you want. And so far, with the new deal, the ratings are up, which is great. So anytime you get somebody like a Kyle Larson coming in and doing something like this, I'm for it. You can criticize, you don't have to like the guy. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But anytime you get more eyes on a product like this, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. I think it's just kind of what you want. So we got Barber coming up here on the 4th, and then obviously, as I've mentioned in the past, we'll be diving more and more into it. It's Santo Grand Prix at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, May 10th. Then you're going to have 500 qualifications weekend after that. And then you're going to come into the greatest spectacle in racing, Memorial Day weekend. And we'll touch on this later in the show. And hopefully, Pacers will get this series win over the Bucks. So you're going to have the month of May just electric in this city. Electric. Pacers and Racers, you can't really beat it. You just can't. Well, unless you get maybe like a Colts Super Bowl win or something like that, then, maybe. But, and speaking of which, let's get to that, shall we? Let's get to our Colts. And as you all know by now, in case you're living under a rock, they go Tyler Warren was the 14th pick in the draft. And, man, I saw a few boards that had him falling to 14. Most of them I saw did not have him falling that far. It felt, there were talks of the Jets taking him. There was even talk of the Bears taking him. It said Bears go Loveland, which I was like, okay. Didn't really see that one, but if you think about it, I kind of get it. And then I forget the dude's last name right now, but the other Tyler who's in the draft that went to the Cowboys, all of a sudden I'm at this draft party, right? And they announce it and everything goes silent. You hear this, what are these numbers, right? And obviously it wasn't Warren. At that point, he kind of felt like it was going to happen. And, here he is. And look, obviously the vast majority of us here are thrilled. You have those few out there that are, either trying to get attention or, which I think is most of them. We all know how the keyboard warriors can be. But there's a few there that, I'm a boy on Zach last week. He wanted Campbell from Bama, coverage linebacker. And I get it. Coverage linebacker is a need for this team. I understand that. And it is. And we might see them get that tonight. We'll see what Ballard does. If he decides to get, crafty and trade back, trade up, who knows? But I know there's quite a bit of talent in these middle, second, third, fourth rounds. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out with a linebacker tonight. It's a need, without a doubt. But here's the thing. I wanted to touch a few things about Tyler Warren, right? Just For those of you who may not be overly or as familiar. So, elite tight end, Penn State last year. He was tight end. He was running back. Whatever heck they needed him to do, he did. 6'5", 256 pounds. Last season, 104 receptions, 1,233 yards, 8 touchdowns, and carried the ball 26 times for 216 yards. Okay. Now, this is one stat I want to share with you. I thought this was really crazy. As I've been saying for weeks now, tight end is a major need for this Indianapolis Colts team. It just is. And I'm not disagreeing that linebacker isn't either. It's a need as well. And I understand the point also of saying, well, wait a minute, tight end, you got to have a quarterback that can get the ball to him. Sure. You're not wrong. It's at the end of the day, this Colts team's going to, ride or die with quarterback play. And we'll see if Richardson's gotten better in the offseason, if he's done the work. I mean, reports are saying he has. Okay. What are they going to say? No, of course they're going to hype it up. I mean, we won't know until he gets on the field. If you look at the consistency, I mean, I know it's crazy to say that people just remember the last thing they saw about Daniel Jones. He's actually had a little bit of success in the league. While I'm not saying he's going to be the guy or be a Hall of Fame quarterback or anything like that, but, his completion percentage is halfway decent. People just remember the last thing. They don't remember how it started. And so, again, I'm not saying he's the guy or I want him to be the guy. But when it comes to, a little pitch and catch to a tight end, I think he could probably handle that if he had to. But anyway, I wanted to share this. So against USC, early this last season, right? That was a big comeback. And sorry, my SoCal people. I mean, rub salt on the wound here. That was the big comeback. Penn State gets a game-winning field goal. Yada yada. Tyler Warren in that game, 17 receptions, 224 yards. That's more than a Colts tight end had the entire season. The entire season. But no, we don't really need. Tight end's not a big deal to some people. Give me a break. It's a good pick. And I've been critical of Chris Ballard and his picks and over the years, and some I don't like, some I have. Okay, fair. But at that point, he's the best guy in the. Why wouldn't you? I'm not a guy that likes to drink Kool-Aid or whatever and just take in all the stuff that the Colts, management organization will tell you. But it's been glaring. So, a very dynamic guy. And what I like about him is his yards after the catch. I mean, this guy is get it. He's going to knock you on your backside. Oh, that 6-yard gain just turned into a 16. So I'm already in my head thinking, holy crap, what they can do with him. He's, him, and assuming it's Richardson, we'll see. Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, you can add Tyler Warren to that mix with Josh Downs and Pierce and Pittman. And, again, it obviously does depend on QB play. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to say that's not the case. But a great pick. Great pick. I'm good with it. I'm excited about it. The one thing I noticed too today, and Tyler Warren, like I said, he did his introductory presser. That ended about like an hour and a half-ish, hour, 15 minutes ago, whatever it was. Of course, I don't take in those things all too much because they always come and say the right things, right? Oh, I'm ready to work for the team. Yeah. Of course, that's what they're going to say, and that's what they should say. The Colts were the only team to invite him to a top 30 pre-draft workout. That kind of surprised me a little bit. That was interesting to me. He was point blank asked, how many other teams did you have a workout for or whatever? And he's like, man, Indy was the only one. I don't know, I just found that surprising for all the things you read and all the rumor mills you talk about with, oh man, the Jets love him or this team loves him, and oh, no way he's going to be there. I don't know. Just found that kind of interesting. Comments coming in. Charlie checking in. Thank you, Bears. You know what? I mean, Loveland's he's a decent route runner. I think that's probably decent compliment to Komet, I would think. I'll let Adam Karnick, who does our Chi-Town Sports Weekly, kind of comment on that. But I wouldn't have been mad if it had been Loveland. I wouldn't have. I think both will do fine in the league, in my opinion. But I think with what Steichen is hopeful to do with the offense, again, I know it comes down to quarterback play. I get it. I feel like Warren is probably the better fit. Just my opinion. I know some will disagree with that, and that's okay. I just think, hey, it just fits. So, by the way, just quick shout out, because we got to got to show some love for the state of Indiana, right? Kenneth Grant, by the way, who was selected by the Dolphins, actually is from the state of Indiana, from the region called Maryville, Indiana. So he was the only notable Indiana guy taken in the first round. Obviously, you didn't see any IU, Purdue, really Notre Dame, whatnot. I expect you'll see more of that tonight. Be interesting to see where Xavier Watson's up. And we'll see. There's a couple IU Purdue guys in there that I think we might see tonight. What I'm interested to see tonight is, again, do they trade back? Do they acquire picks? Do they stay where they're at? That's going to be interesting to me. Just in general, I think they do. I think linebackers a place of need. I think they'll get one. They're obviously going to get some line help. That's just a Ballard thing. And, you obviously need people in the line, right? And, we talked about this last week, especially now with how it kind of shook out, with the quarterbacks, last night and Shedeur dropping and whatnot. I still think round 4 is going to be a decent quarterback there, and I would expect the Colts to take him. Whether that's someone like a Ewers, I don't know if he's there at 4, but who knows? Everybody and their brother had Shedeur going early, no worse, 21st to the Steelers, I think. So who knows? Will Howard could be there. I do expect him to snap one, because you just don't know. You got to have a little bit of depth there. Injuries or anything else. But there's some running backs out there we could see day 3. I think kicker-wise, that'll probably a free agent, undrafted free agent, I would expect. So lots to wrap our heads around tonight. We'll be watching that. We'll be trying to check out the Pacers. It'll be a head on a swivel. No doubt about that. But speaking of Pacers, we will get into them, and that'll finish out the show for us. But before we do that, we got to get one final break in before we get on the other side. My special guest, George, will be joining us to talk all things Pacers. Last break. We'll be right back here. Big Mike, Indy Sports Nation, right here at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
What's going on, Kansas City sports fans? I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for the show. This is KC Sports, which you can find right here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, are you looking for a show that you can watch live or listen to later on that talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as even the Kansas City Mavericks? Or do you want to listen to a show that talks about your high school sports, whether it be on the Missouri side or the Kansas City side? Let's even talk about college. Let's talk about KU. Let's talk about K-State. Let's talk about Mizzou. And let's talk about your boys' alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. All in all, it doesn't matter. If it's Kansas City anything, we will talk about it on this show every Monday at 2 p.m. We'll talk about stuff that's happening in your area, let alone Union Station, Power and Light, T-Mobile Center. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, join our segment, the Fan Interaction segment, every Monday at 2 p.m. and make sure you get your voice heard. Until then, I hope you check out the show. As always, I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host every Monday at 2 p.m. on This is KC Sports, which you can find right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
All right, welcome back. Final segment of the show. And once again, if you could, go follow us on YouTube. Follow IU Sports Radio. Check out your boy, Big Mike, Indy Sports Nation. Smash that subscribe button. Comment, Indy Sports Nation. Cannot thank you all enough. Without that said, we got to talk some Pacers. I got to bring back my Pacers contributor, George. Welcome back to the show, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I am not bad. By the way, real quick, how the heck you're feeling, man? I know you're fighting off a bug.
Like crap. I've reached the stage of fatherhood where kids in daycare and bringing home the cooties, so the whole house is down bad. But
yep, welcome to fatherhood, brother.
No one warned you about this part.
Yeah, it gets better. You'll get past this phase, I promise.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, man, before we I know your answer to this, but since you're a big diehard Colts fan like the rest of us, I know the answer, but quick thoughts on the pick from last night.
Super stoked. Tight end's been something we really haven't had a good or consistent tight end since Doyle retired. Warren was who I wanted all along. Loveland's good. I get why some people had him higher, but Warren for me was that number one tight end, so I was stoked. I have to say I was sweating there when I heard Tyler said at the beginning of the Cowboys pick. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I think everybody was like the whole state of Indiana was just like.
Yeah, I went to bed right after our pick. I was like, all right, got my guy, going to bed.
Right. Well, I'm interested to see what they do tonight, but I think even more interesting, I'm waiting to see what the Pacers do tonight. Big Game 3, tipping off 8 o'clock in Milwaukee. But before we talk about Game 3, I just want to do a quick recap on the Games 1 and 2, especially 2 since you were there in person. Thoughts on Game 1? I liked the way they came out. I liked the way they come out in both games, to be honest with you. Giannis did not get much help. Game 1, they couldn't hit water from a boat.
No, they were awful from 3. I mean, the second game, Portis had, I think, 28 or something like that.
Yep.
But, I mean, Dame, he was, as some Pacers fans call it, in them hell. So, yeah, Giannis is trying to carry this team on his own. And, I mean, the Pacers are just too deep. You're not going to beat them with one player.
Yeah, I mean, had this been early in the season, it'd been a different story. I was actually thinking about this, George. The first time he came on this program, Pacers were like 10-15. This god-awful start they had. Like half of the starters were out. Halliburton was the one trying to do too much and with back issues. And then they got healthy. Things started gelled, and we know the second half of the season they were a completely different team.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee, as of right now, these first 2 games, has seen that firsthand. Now we'll say this. I mean, they game one we got a little nervous in that fourth quarter because Pacers couldn't make some shots, and again, thankfully neither could Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of worked out. But moving to game two, I wanted to ask you this question because for those of you or of us who didn't see it, Rick Carlisle was raving about the crowd, saying it was as loud as, or maybe even louder than it was back, the finals days. You were there, man. Tell us all about it.
There's really no environment like Gainbridge during the playoffs, man.
I agree.
I've been to 2 playoff games the last 2 years, and I mean, you leave there, you don't have a voice, you got a headache for a couple days. I mean, people are barely sitting down, everyone's standing up. So yeah, it's electric.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a few myself, and it's find me a better atmosphere in a basketball state,
Yeah, that Giannis countdown, whether it helps them or hurts them, I mean, it's deafening. That 1, 2, I mean, you could probably hear that outside the arena.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It's funny. That's getting national attention now too, and even I've heard some people out of Milwaukee going, man, there's not many other fan bases that do that any better than the Pacers fans. So, like, wow, you're getting a compliment from someone who's covered a squad that, these guys, these teams just don't like each other, So to get a compliment from someone on that side of it, I was like, okay.
49 other states, it's just basketball.
That's right. Well, and the thing about game two, which was kind of, I think as Pacers fans, is a good thing for the Bucks. Bucks shot the ball much better. As you alluded to, I mean, Portis kind of went crazy. I don't know that he does that again, but who knows? Well, you never know. But the Bucks shoot over 50% from the field and over 40% from three, and out rebound the Pacers by 5, and the Pacers still win. Right?
We don't normally win those games, yeah.
No, they normally don't, and they're and kind of revert back to game one. I was looking at the stats, and the Pacers out rebounded the Bucks, and I don't know when that's happened last. I don't know last time the Pacers rebounded anybody. But those
I don't think half our team doesn't even try to get a board.
Yeah, right, exactly. Half the time they're chucking it, and they're all running back the other direction. But obviously, here's Tyrese Halliburton, the most overrated player in the league, right? With back-to-back 12 game assists. Or 12, past 2 games, 12 assists. I think he's the first to do that in the opening playoff games, by the way. But yeah, he's overrated.
Yeah, would they survey like 98 players? I'd love to see what list of players they surveyed on that one, because I just don't see it.
Oh, and they had Giannis on there too.
Yeah.
What?
That dude's an MVP. As much as I hate him, I mean, he's an MVP caliber player in the last few years. So.
Oh, I was on our buddy Diehard who does the Wisconsin Whistle here on IE Sports Radio, and I was telling him I think this is the best I've seen him look since they won their championship.
Mm-hmm. Bad thing is he just doesn't have any help.
He doesn't. And speaking of help, before we get into previewing the game tonight, obviously Lillard's back, and while I told him it doesn't change my viewpoint, right? It doesn't change my viewpoint of the series. I still think it's I've said 6 games from the start, so I'm gonna stick with it. Has it crossed your mind, or does it worry you slightly? Because Dame does get streaky, and then all of a sudden he's chucking up 30-foot threes. Now I get Nimby's been playing some good defense. How are you feeling about? I guess we'll jump into it. How you feel about tonight and going in, and can Nimby keep that going?
Yeah, I mean, I had the stats pulled up. My tablet died on me. But if you look at Nemby's defensive stats throughout the year on some of the best guys in the league, I mean, he's an all-defense caliber player. Like, he's a defensive player of the year candidate. Offensively, not so great until the playoffs comes around. Then he's a first-ballot Hall of Famer for whatever reason. But I like what he said in his interview when they asked him, what have you learned about guarding Dame, and he said, nothing I'm going to tell you.
Right.
I think we saw last year in the playoffs, obviously Giannis was out, but with Dame, even when he had those games where he went off, no one else is really touching the ball that much. So he's hitting threes and missing threes, whatever, even if he's shooting decent from the field. how many points were they really scoring? I think their record against us in the playoffs last year was worse with him in the lineup than without him. So,
yeah. And I think for me, the thorn in the side was Chris Middleton last year.
Yeah. How do you, as a fan base, obviously there's no trade worse than the Luka trade, but how do you, as a fan base, feel about your team trading Chris Middleton? That guy absolutely killed us last year.
Oh, he did. Kuzma.
Dude laid a goose egg in the first game, and then, he did a little bit better in the second game, but you can't really do much worse than a goose egg.
Yeah, and Kuzma, so and I'll give Kuzma credit. I thought he, that second half he kind of kept Milwaukee around by hitting some shots finally. But again, I don't know if you're Milwaukee, I don't know if you can really rely on that. So that doesn't really worry me. I mean, the only thing tonight that I kind of touched about this earlier. I mean, it's a backs against the wall game for the Bucks. Home game. It's going to be very hostile. I mean, they hate the Pacers, especially Tyrese. So I expect they're going to just come out and just with energy, and I just hope the Pacers can maybe withstand some of that energy and just don't let them get out to a 15-point lead early or something like that. Of course, in the NBA, 15 points isn't a whole lot. But I think just from what I've seen so far, and I still think that Milwaukee probably finds a way to win tonight. That's fine. I'm not going to get too wrapped up if they do. But man, defensively they are struggling.
Yeah, Brook Lopez and Dame both. I mean, everyone really is, but Brook Lopez and Dame especially. They run the pick and roll up at the top of the key on Dame every time, and he doesn't know what to do. They just keep doing it, and he can't figure it out. They can't switch and close out on the perimeter. So it's working to our advantage. So got to keep doing it.
Yeah, you got to, because you can see it with the high ball screen, Miles coming out and then screening, and Dame's he just looks clueless.
Yeah, he's lost. That's why I was kind of excited for him to come back. I mean, I know he's got his offensive, standouts, and he can kind of put the team on his back offensively, but defense, I think he's a liability.
Yeah, that's the same with Lopez too. That's why it's a great matchup, I think, for Miles, just because, I give Lopez a little credit because he's kind of adjusted his game a little bit to the new style where it's offensively driven. Now he's going out and he can hit shots from the perimeter, where back in the day that wasn't his game. But in lieu of that, he's a defensive liability. And it's shown that in the first two games of the series. So I'm curious and just want to get your thoughts on this too. Do you see a lineup change of any kind with Milwaukee tonight?
I mean, I feel like they have to try something. They might roll out with the same starting five that they have, and if it's not working early on. But, I mean, look at who their coach is.
Yeah.
It's Doc Rivers. So somehow that guy's still employed in ruining basketball teams. So you never know.
Yeah, for me, I think you're right. You don't know. And, probably check here when the show ends and whatnot and see if there's anything out there. But I can see the same thing. Start with the same, but then, hey, all right, making a switch within a few minutes, possibly take a timeout and bring them in. But then again, if they go down and start chucking up shots and they're all falling, and it's one of those nights, then who knows?
Yeah, I think the good thing about the Pacers is, especially in those environments, they seem to thrive. Obviously, in our environment where it's loud and ruckus, they love it. Hostile environments, though, they love it as well too. Hallie especially.
Oh, Hallie lives for it.
Oh yeah, he said he finds someone on the sidelines, like in a courtside, every game, and if he can find someone to just talk trash to, he knows he's going to have a good game. So. Oh yeah. I'm all for it.
And I fully expected him to come out and ball out like he did in game 2, 21 points, 12 assists, after shooting 0 for 7 from 3-point range in game 1. He's not going to do that again. So
yeah, no.
And I just feel like, and like I said, we'll see what happens tonight. It wouldn't shock me if Milwaukee steals one, or I shouldn't say steals one, but gets one on home court tonight, just for, all the atmosphere and just everything else. But they're going to need to figure something out defensively, because you come out with 6 paces in double figures in game 2. That's a balanced attack that right now Milwaukee just doesn't have.
Yeah, I think the first 2 games, that's been one of the best things. I mean, that's the best thing about the Pacers in general. They played team ball. I think Siakam was the leading scorer both game 1 and 2. But no one had like a crazy, You got a couple guys in the teens and stuff like that, but the ball's getting spread around. You got the bench like Ben and them coming in and, putting in minutes. So I think that's why, really, outside of the Celtics, I think we can hang with any of these teams. And even the Celtics, I think we can hang with.
Well, and I tell you, I remind people doing this show that last year, yes, it was Pacers were there early. No one expected that run to the conference finals. And, of course, everybody had their excuses or whatever. But you got to remember 3 of those 4 games, Pacers just didn't know how to close out.
Yeah, they had a chance.
And I would argue, and give me your thoughts on this, I would argue, and, if they're able to get past the Bucks, I'm not writing this series off by any stretch of the imagination, but if they're able to get past the Bucks, they're likely look, Cleveland. And here's why this is why I think they could give Cleveland fits. If it gets to that point, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But the last part of the season, the Pacers learned how, or at least improved on, closing out those games. You know what I mean? Like, their second half, especially, they're better closers.
Yeah.
I think that will help them, assuming they're able to make it to the next round. What do you think?
No, yeah, I totally agree. You saw that, especially after the All-Star break, they kind of started to put things together and close out games a little bit better, even if they got a little chippy at the end, like game 1 where, Milwaukee's coming back down big, but they never let them back in it. So, yeah, I like that. I think that's a big improvement from last year.
No, I agree. And I'm not sitting there saying that's going to, take them to the finals or anything like that, but I think that's just going to make them, assuming, they're able to get out of here and close out against Milwaukee. I mean, it's going to be a tough go for Milwaukee the rest of the way to, to make this happen. But, I don't expect them to go away lightly either. Anybody, it's chippy series. It always is with these 2 teams. Is anybody getting kicked out tonight?
If anyone, Bobby Portis might.
That'd be my guess too.
Yeah. He might take someone like Nemby with him, or even TJ was getting in his face with the.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I just hope it's not one of our guys. I mean, when I was talking to our buddy Die Hard, I was like, it could be because our leading technical guy's Nemby.
Yeah,
Like,
he got tossed out like 2 games in a row there against the Pistons and Minnesota, I think it was. I can't remember.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I don't want the way he's playing. I need him on the court, man. I don't need him going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think Rick probably told him that, like, hey, love the fire, buddy, but we need you out there on defense, especially. So.
Yep.
Cool.
Charlie, checking in real quick. Team has a ton of time to grow together, and I like the energy this time around. I do too. I really do. And it leads me to probably my last question for you, George. How do you feel about these rotations that Carlisle's running so far?
I like it. I was a little bit skeptical. We talked about, what we thought it should look like in the beginning. You haven't really seen much of. TJ's getting some minutes, which I'm okay with. I knew that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I mean, some of the bottom tier guys like Shepard and things like that I really didn't want to see on the court, you haven't seen. So I think he's done a good job. That's the benefit of the playoffs too, longer timeouts and commercial breaks. So kind of let your starters and your first 3 or 4 bench guys get a little bit more rest in between and play more minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know it's not been his best year. But he's always had some decent success against Milwaukee, and he's still kind of doing what he's doing, coming off the bench, giving you 4 or 5 assists, which I like. I mean, it's like, all right, he's facilitating some things a little bit when he's out there. So from TJ, that's kind of what I'm hoping he can continue to do. I'm with you. I like what they're doing. I'm liking. So of course we're up 2-0. I'm liking just about everything at this point.
It's working, so of course we like it.
Yeah. All right, so take a step back. Our buddy Brian, who hosts our Boston show, saying that Tyler Warner was a great pick for us. We agree. We agree. Well, how you feel about tonight? I think it might be a Milwaukee night, but I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, I know you're kind of dead set on Milwaukee taking this, and before the series started, I kept saying Pacers in 5, but I don't want to be overconfident. But the way we play the first 2 games, I could see Pacers in 4.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, I'd love to see it. I'd be out there, celebrating right there with you. I still think they win the series. I just, like I said, I don't know. It's a rivalry. It's going to get chippy. I don't trust the NBA officiating when it comes to things like that. But hey, you know what? Part of me thought that they may split it here in Indy, and they didn't. So I'll continue. I'll be more than happy to continue to be wrong on this, but I still think they get out. I mean, they should have won this series, and that was my goal for this team at the beginning of the year. I'm like, hey, get a 4 seed, higher if you can. 4 seed, get that home playoff series, get that win, and then after that, just kind of see where it falls.
I'd love to be responsible for that team blowing it up. So their fans would love us for that.
The Pacers have been good about getting other teams' coaches fired, so keep riding that train. Why not? Well, brother, we'll let you get to it here, man. We're past the hour point, but get to feeling better. And I'll ask you one more question real quick because this is still a hot topic. Who would you like to see the Colts get tonight? Not maybe a player, but maybe position-wise.
I think guard. I could see a guard. Okay. I think offensive line depth is probably something that we need to address pretty early on. Chris Ballard made some jokes about trading up the end for tonight, so they might have their eyes on someone.
Oh yeah, he's I think he likes to troll at this point.
Yeah.
I could see definitely line. I could see a linebacker as well, potential. But who knows? It's Ballard. We'll see what he does. So, all right, man. Enjoy the night. Get to feeling better. We'll hang out soon, buddy.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Take care, buddy. All right, that is going to do it for us today. Yet one more time, if you can, go to YouTube, give us a follow. Give IE Sports Radio a follow. Obviously, comment Indy Sports Nation helps us out big time. If you can, go to the site IESportsRadio.com. Get yourself some swag. Appreciate all the support. And again, that's going to do it for me, Big Mike. I'll be back here same time next week. Hopefully talking about a Pacers series win, but obviously recapping the draft and so much more. So take care of yourselves, everybody. We will see you here next week. Big Mike signing off. Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great weekend, everybody.